I'm the hood champion boxing and sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Make sure you like and subscribe, become a member to the channel. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, that's cool. Leave that donation for that fried rice and chicken wings, but really, become a member to the channel if you enjoy the content. Now listen. Some people are not going to like what I'm going to say in this video, but that's what I do. I stir the pot. Now look, Terence Crawford and Canelo. We understand Terence Crawford with the stamina, with the speed. Now, he doesn't have no Amir Khan speed. He didn't have the Floyd Mayweather speed, but he has fast hands. But he ain't the fastest fighter out there. But he has fast hands. He has fast feet. But when it comes to Canelo, at 168, he has speed. He has power. He's done the business at 168. How can anyone in their right mind think that Crawford is going to be able to outspeed and outpower Canelo at 168 pounds? You know, at some point in time, I know people want to triumph. What's his name? Triumph Crawford and say that, you know, it's not that he's going to do this and he's going to do that. But I just think, you know, the bigger man, if this plays out the way it's supposed to, is eventually going to take over. And all that stamina and speed Crawford has, I mean, it's going to probably show up. But you know what else is going to show up? That power and granite chin that Canelo possesses. Now, I'm going to tell you this. When you start trying to bring together power, chin, stamina, speed, with Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford, you know what you get? You get something that's more than a clash of styles. It's a mashup, crash-up. It's a collision of questions that cut to the heart of boxing's, I say, most primal truths. They say the truth comes to you real quick in that ring. Can the smaller man hurt the bigger man? Look, anything can happen in the sport of boxing, you know. It's all about the shot. You get hit what you don't see. But let's be real now. Crawford doesn't really set his feet to try to get torque behind his shots unless he has started to really outpoint and his opponent slows down. Then you see Crawford start to kind of sit on his punches a bit, establish a center of gravity, a low base, and really let his hands go. But answer the question. Can the smaller man hurt the bigger man? And we got to be real with that. This ain't about stirring emotions, having fun, making funny content. No, this is a serious-ass video, serious question. Now, you figure that out, but also ask yourself, can the bigger man take the smaller man's speed and precision? Now, we know Crawford's fast, but again, he ain't fast like that. As far as precision, he is very precise. You got to give him that. But can Crawford somehow get Canelo to break while Canelo's trying to adjust to the speed, adjust to the precision, adjust to getting tattooed up by Crawford's left and right hands? So the question is, will this fight be decided by who has the better chin, which you know that's Canelo, or who has the deeper gas tank and the ability to up it round after round? That's Crawford. So these aren't unclear or abstract hypotheticals. You know, this is real talk. You know, they're the exact dynamics, all right, that have defined some of the most legendary fights. And I just think with Crawford and Canelo, man, I just think we got to be real about this shit. Better chin, deeper gas tank. Canelo's gas tank isn't horrible, but it's not Crawford's. But you watch Canelo even in the 12th round. Canelo's not, his tongue isn't hanging out his mouth, and he's not falling all around the ring like Conor McGregor and shit. Canelo is still pushing, but maybe not as passionate as he would be in the first 4 or 5 rounds. Anyway, if Canelo can land some power on Crawford, that's a good thing, but it's like a double-edged sword. Because when Crawford feels power, if you hurt him, he ups it. He fights harder. I'm not making that up. What the young boys say, facts, man, facts. Yeah, there's no blue hat. No blue hat. Crawford's reputation is built on being a chameleon. He can get into any environment in that ring, whether it's a pressure environment, a boxing environment, a counterpunching environment, an environment where a guy's trying to out-stamina him, out-mean him, out-finesse him. It doesn't matter. Adaptability, people. Crawford has that. But there have been moments where somebody, put the hand of God on him and shit and blessed his ass up. But instead of folding, Crawford come out swinging. You can't put Crawford in no corner and think that Crawford is going to sit there and just start to cower and start trying to throw a lifeline and shit and say, hey, somebody help me, please. I'm just a tail wagger. Crawford coming out swinging, boy. People don't talk about this shit enough. But when he fought Kavaliauskas' Mean Machine, no one knew who Mean Machine was. Crawford was trying to tell him, dude, look at his amateur pedigree. He was an Olympian. Y'all just don't know him because he ain't from America. This dude is a problem. And when Kavaliauskas got in there with Crawford and he hit him with that bing, 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 Crawford's ass went down like real estate depreciation or a big fat man eating a plate of Alabama barbecue. That shit, his ass went down. Bud got clipped clean in the early rounds. I just watched the fight last night. Again. Now, Crawford will tell you something different, but many observers, me being one of them, who just happened to watch the fight last night, his ass was buzzed. He was more than buzzed. He got the bing bings put on him. His ass got dropped. Referee, secret society in full effect. They helped his ass out a little bit, didn't they? Although it wasn't officially ruled a knockdown, his ass got knocked down. But what did Crawford do? He got upset. He said, oh yeah? Hey, yo, hold your horses. And let's stop taking it to the stupid here, Kavaliauskas. You're not supposed to knock me out, man. You're not playing by the rules, man. And since you're not playing by the rules, Crawford decided, I'm going to bite down, switch gears, and up it, which Crawford is one of the few who can do it. And he walked Mean Machine down. A vicious puncher like Mean Machine. What's Canelo? A vicious puncher. Crawford may walk his ass down. Hey, take it easy. Just a conversation. But at the same time, if Canelo hit Crawford with some shit, he may not just buzz him. He may have him on life support. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, man, for him to get that stoppage in the 9th round was just amazing. And, people always talk. I don't even want to talk about this shit because I did my notes and I was tying something together, but I don't even want to talk about Gamboa. But you know who I'm going to talk about instead? Hank Lundy. Now, do y'all remember that fight where Crawford fought Hank Lundy? Hank Lundy pissed Crawford off during the press conference. So Crawford and Hank Lundy got in the ring. Let me tell you this. The first couple rounds, Hank Lundy was doing the business. He was catching Crawford with shots early. He was fighting. Hank Lundy was doing the business. But the problem is Hank Lundy was too jittery, too nervous, too uncomfortable, too confident, too arrogant. And ultimately, he just wasn't good enough. What did Crawford do? He responded to the aggression, to the fact that he may have lost the first 2 rounds. And then he decided, you know what, I'm going to put the pressure in the Omaha, Nebraska Bing Bings on Big Mouth Philadelphia, Hank Lundy. I think he's from Philly or New Jersey, somewhere up there. But his big ass mouth broke him down. Damn near killed a man. Then after he tranquilized him, the referee saved Hank Lundy. Crawford stood right there in front of him just to let him know, sucker, don't poke the bear, or like Usyk could tell you, don't push the horses. Fucked around and pushed the horse. Horse kicked him right up in his mouth. Took all them teeth out. Stopped him, embarrassed him. So what this shows you when it comes to a guy like Terence Crawford, you know, them early rounds, I think when it comes to Canelo, I think that shit's going to be dangerous, boy. For Crawford, I'm being honest with you. I think he's going to be very dangerous. But Crawford, he's not the kind of guy who's built and cool with just surviving and trying to survive adversity and just trying to come back and get to the end of the fight and say, okay, I did a Jamel Charlo. Nah, that ain't him. He weaponizes. He weaponizes things in the ring. If you hit him, you hurt him, he weaponizes it, turning his opponent's success into the spark he needs for escalation. And when he does that, good things happen for Crawford, bad things for his opponent. So you have to wonder, when he gets in there with Canelo, is Crawford going to be able to, you know, if Canelo's having success, turn or use Canelo's success as a spark to up his own escalation. And that's what makes it interesting. Now, when we talk about Canelo, talk about Hank Lundy, talk about Kavaliauskas, and people talk about Gamboa, but whatever. When we talk about fights where Crawford was kind of getting touched up and looking like he had to figure things out, Benavidez was another one, right? When he fought Jose Benavidez Jr. But the thing is this, getting in there with Canelo is a different beast. The fight hasn't happened yet, but if you're being fair and you're being honest, that is a different beast. What they say that shit in Spanish, a monstro. Canelo ain't playing around, man. But some people are wondering, you know, how the hell Canelo became a power puncher? You know what I'm saying? Where'd that shit come from? He wasn't always the one-punch destroyer that he's known for today. And look, I ain't here to talk no controversial topics, but the reality is, hey, we're all adults here. We're just having a conversation. People want to know where Canelo got that one-punch destroying power from. But for me, it doesn't matter. He has it. And that's a reality Terence Crawford has to deal with, and also the Crawford fans. Early in his career, I'm telling you, man, Canelo was that creative, super sharp combination puncher. Those combinations he used to throw, you can't script that shit. Amazing. He's not that guy anymore. And to be honest with you, you know what? You think about Pretty Boy Floyd and that shit he did early in his career. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Defense, offense, unbelievable. Floyd got older, hand issues, whatever. Having women cut the hole out of his jockey shorts. Floyd changed his style. Still, he did a lot less, but he knew what worked for him, and those are the tools he brought in the ring, and he did the business. Canelo's the same way. So he, like Floyd Mayweather, had a transformation. But Floyd was still able to, if he had to, say, all right, I got my toolkit sitting right there in the corner. I go back, talk to my trainer. Maybe this little jab isn't working. Maybe this little stab jab isn't working. Maybe the straight right's not enough. Floyd, pull out the uppercut. Floyd, pull out the catch and shoot. Walk him down with that shoulder roll. Yep. Let him throw. Catch all them shots on your shoulder and your arms. Let him get tired. After 15 seconds, he's going to be tired. Then you open up. So we've seen Floyd do that shit. I think Canelo is able to still do those things. There wasn't a need. Against Bivol, there was a need, but he stuck to the game plan. I think Eddie Reynoso should have told him, enough of this punch in the arms bullshit. Bite him. Go and bite him. You know what I'm saying? Use those teeth, all 32 of those Guadalajara, Jalisco teeth, and go and bite that man, because ain't nothing working. But let me just understand, let me make sure I understand this. The way Canelo developed that respectable pop and that left and right hand, what they say, derecha, right? Transformation into a true power puncher came from a few factors, and it had nothing to do with no Mexican beef and shit. Physical maturity. I think about me at 20, 22, 23. Yeah, I was a monster. But me at 30, 34, 35, as far as my size and everything, is a fucking animal. An animal. Lifting weights, punching, hitting harder, intelligence, everything. There's a big difference between being 23 and 33, 34 years old. Big difference, man. But when it comes to his physical maturity, he filled out into a naturally super middleweight. You can't expect this man's frame to be okay with being at a lighter weight and carrying less muscle, to be able to have less leverage. Man, let me tell you, I don't know how old y'all are. I just turned 50. Shit start changing when I got about like 33, 34. I'm like, fuck happened to the six pack? You know what I mean? Start thickening up, more boom, strong as hell. But I'm like, damn, I gotta work to maintain this as 34, 32, 30, like 36 length pad, 32, 36, 34, 36. Then 36, 36. I'm like, holy shit, that's the waist and inseam. I'm like, man, starting to turn to a marshmallow out here. So physical maturity happens, and you see Canelo the way he is. That shit ain't from lifting weights. That's from just training, calisthenics, some weight training, but your body just changes. Even your eyesight and everything. I wear glasses now. Like, I'm watching TV, that shit's blurry. I never had issues with my eyes. How about this? I never had a cavity. Still haven't had cavities. But I got a little root exposure now. I'm older, brushing teeth. So what I'm getting at is your body changes. And I just think with him, Canelo, he just physically matured. Now, also, when you talk about going from fighting a guy like Floyd and you being like, what was he, 23? To his age now, there's some technical refinements you make. Okay? So he had the physical maturity and the technical refinements. He learned to sit down on the shots, shorten his punches, transfer the weight with maximum efficiency. I learned that shit too. In the gym, hitting the heavy bag. Everything when I used to train, everything was not punching through the bag. It snapped. When you get it out, you hit the bag, bring it back. Pop, 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 pop. But as I got older, I started, training more. And then I had one guy show me, hey, you got fast hands. You got some power. Try to, you can still pepper somebody up, but sit on your punches. Turn into it more. Try to punch through the bag on some of them shots. So it's pop, 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 pop. And that shit was crazy. So I and most of y'all have never done anything boxing-wise in the level of these guys. But it doesn't mean shit. If you're in the gym and you're getting older, you're still learning, you're still evolving. So if we, at our level, when we were doing whatever we're doing, if we're just training, you only have to be fighting. If you just like hitting a heavy bag, you can still make technical refinements. Canelo did the shit at the highest level. That's why the man sits there, man, and punches and transfers his weight with maximum efficiency and power. Simple. And then as far as his target selection, Kobe Bryant said it the best. When he plays basketball, Kobe Bryant, he ain't out there trying to go, there's 5 spots on the three-point line, left, right, mid, and then right there in the center. He ain't trying to go to all those spots and shoot. He knows where his he said, not targets. He said his he gets to his not targets. He gets to his fuck did he say? Oh, anyway, places on the court. He knows if he gets to this place or spots. He gets to his spots. He knows if he gets to this spot, he's gonna make it. If he gets to this spot, he's gonna make it. So You watch Kobe Bryant and his ability to score the way he did. He knew there were certain spots that he felt if he shot 100 times, he would make it 100 times. And that's how his game evolved. When you're younger, you're just trying to do all this fancy bullshit. He made a technical refinement and also target selection. With Canelo, you watch him. His thing is the same thing. He used to do those creative combinations. He used to do all that flashy shit. But the man said, I need to figure out my target selection. And he said, what do I do good? His body punching became his signature. He has always done that great. But once he really ratcheted down, he said, all right, this is what I'm going to do. That body punching, man, started sapping opponents' stamina. And when he was sapped their stamina, they couldn't move. They were in there, man, turned them into mannequins. Stiff, frozen, stationary. And then what happened? Guadalajara bing bings. Bing, bing, bing. Headshots, getting up out of there. Even shit, Triple G revealed some shocking details about Canelo's power before. He talked about that. He even points out, he says, even elite fighters who pride themselves on durability, right? Like Triple G, admitted that Canelo's shot, that shit is thudding. And they say if Canelo hits you, man, and you in a fight, that shit can change the tone of the fight with the quickness. So when you think about Canelo, where he's at now, physical maturity, technical refinement, target selection. Canelo knows, man, he hit you on top of the head. He may throw it straight. He may looping. He's going to your body. He'll throw it to the body upstairs. He'll shoot the uppercut to split the guard. But outside of that, he's not doing a lot. But he's not just going to get in the ring in every round, throw the same punches. No, he's patient. He's calculated. And he's looking to see the spots that unveil themselves. And once he recognizes, that's my spot. That's my spot. That's my target. He's already has the goddamn bullets in the chamber. And he's just there, cacao, boom. He licking shots in the ring. And that's why this shit for Terrence Crawford is dangerous, man. People don't want to hear that shit, but I got to keep it real, What the young boys say, facts. Ain't no blue hat and shit. Now, does Canelo have the chin to take Crawford's power? I ain't doing no sound effects in this video. I like the sound effects, but, I think, you can, like me, I got a sense of humor. I'll be fucking with that shit the whole video, so I'm not doing no sound effects. But I should have had the laughing sound effect going for that shit. Does Canelo have the chin to take Crawford's power? I'll put it to you this way. Canelo's chin has been tested by some of the hardest hitters in the sports. Everyone Canelo fought, probably once he bubbled up beyond, in the 154 and above, all those guys could crack. I ain't talking about Amir Khan. Even Amir Khan, boy, speed kills, and he had power too, but I ain't talking about him. But everyone he fought could crack. Bivol could crack, Kovalev could crack, Golovkin could crack, Daniel Jacobs could crack. Everyone he fought could hit. But the bottom line is, he ain't never been stopped. He never been dropped. I think Crawford's going to stop him or drop him. Makes me roll. Stop, drop, and we will roll if you believe that shit's going to happen. Canelo done somehow figured it out. He said in an interview, he's like, I was born this way. I knew from a little kid that I was meant to be a champion. I was meant to be a great boxer. He said he's always been the kind of kid, you hit him, you ain't hurting him. You hit him, he just absorbs that shit and he comes back. And you know what? I tend to believe him. You know why? Because he turned pro at 15 effing years old. He's been fighting as a pro since 15. That's different. So something is he knew about himself, obviously, for him to turn pro and to dominate the way he did and to be at this level after so many years later, still dominating. So some people are born to be, in the cybersecurity, open heart surgeons, fly planes, join the military, become athletes. And some of those who are born to become athletes are born to become boxers. And Canelo was obviously born to become a boxer. You watch his ability to absorb clean shots without panic. That's what makes him dangerous. So if Crawford's not setting his feet and he's just shoe shining, throwing a lot of punches, basically to keep Canelo honest in that bay, Canelo gonna be eating that shit like grapes. Even if Crawford decides to sit on the shot, like what I was taught later, sit down. You know, you can shoe shine, but then drop some heavy shit. He drops that heavy shit. Canelo knows how to ride with the punches, absorb the punches. So how's Crawford gonna hurt him? How's he gonna hurt him? Canelo's got power, but the granite chin. That makes him dangerous, man. And you know what else makes him dangerous? He'll take your punch to land his own. So, really, who can take whose power? That's the question. But we know Crawford's power is different, you know, but I'm just saying. He's not a slugger. He ain't a guy who's in there just trying to like break up a goddamn punch through a brick wall. He's not like that. Crawford is more like a sculptor, a finesser, you know what I'm saying? Sharp, precise. There's an art to what he's doing. But don't get me wrong, man. Once he's come and kind of fracture things up, boom, he'll break through that damn wall. But he's more like creating some clean fractures throughout your granite chin and your body, and then break that shit all up. And you're not going to expect it. So the question isn't whether Canelo can take one of Crawford's shots, it's whether he can take it repeatedly, where Crawford's fracturing him up, and then look for the clean break. So can he take it repeatedly? I don't know. The well-timed counters, can he take that? You know, I don't know. And can he deal with all that without having his rhythm disrupted? You know, I don't know. But I do know that if I got to say if someone's going to get hurt badly, I think it's Crawford. Now, for the Crawford fans who's like, bullshit head champion, you tail wagger, you bastard. Crawford can hurt Canelo. Look, that's a good question. Can he hurt Canelo? Standing, planting his feet? I don't know. While moving, that's more than likely what he's going to do. That's the question. So Crawford's power is most dangerous when it's married to his timing. Crawford's about that timing. He ain't just going to be in there. You see his punches coming and him throwing shots and you getting hurt. That's not how Crawford works. Crawford, his shit is about timing you and hitting you, and now you don't see the shots coming. He doesn't need to plant his feet for every shot, and he does not. In this fight, maybe he does. I don't know. But he can generate serious torque from them odd angles, which means he can and he has hurt opponents even while he's circling. The challenge against Canelo is that moving power shots often lack the same thudding effect as planted ones. And that's why I was saying, is Crawford going to be able to stand, establish a sound base, and put those hips behind those shots? I don't know. And the other thing is Canelo's high guard and that compact stance, built to absorb glancing blows. Canelo tucks his chin and he just starts coming straight forward like a choo-choo train, a Mexican choo-choo train. So some people are going to explain Crawford versus Canelo. They're going to say that a guy like Canelo, his success depends on maintaining speed, enough speed to deal with, to counter Crawford. Others are going to say Crawford's success will depend on maintaining his speed to stay a step ahead of Canelo, while also adding the functional muscle for 168 pounds, muscle that's been added for a purpose. So his moving shots will still carry enough force to earn Canelo's respect, because Canelo's going to be in there with a guy who has the speed of a 147-pounder, which is the kind of speed that can trouble Canelo, but also with the power of a 168-pounder, the kind of power that can hurt Canelo. or at least get his respect. So what decides the fight? Stamina, chin. I'll tell you what, the fight could boil down to either. That's just my opinion. And that's what makes it fascinating. The speed, the chin, stamina. Now, if it's about chin, I think it's the right thing to do is go with Canelo. Proven durability gives Canelo the edge. So the idea that Crawford's going to come in here now and somehow denature those things that make Canelo great and make him impenetrable, I mean, I guess anything's possible, but more than likely Crawford can't do it. Now, if it's about stamina and Crawford uses a relentless pace, and the late round surges could be the difference, that's something that could definitely happen. But Canelo's durability is no joke, and Crawford's stamina is no joke. So I'm just trying to give an unbiased breakdown on Canelo versus Crawford. And a lot of the notes that I have and that when I've kind of canvassed the internet for, I'll tell you. When you look at those notes, it basically says Canelo's been more economical in recent years, conserving his energy for bursts, and this is what could show up late in the fight. If he stays patient, you may see where Canelo all of a sudden late in the fight has more energy than what we're accustomed to seeing. And then while a guy like Crawford thrives on building momentum as the fight go on. What Crawford's doing in the first round, he can do in the last round, but more times than not, he's doing more in the last round than he did in the first round. So that just shows you that he's just, incrementally getting stronger, getting faster, pushing the stamina, testing your gas tank round after round after round, to eventually start testing your chin and your body, and Crawford can get a stoppage. Now, can he do it at 168 against Canelo, the Mexican Bull? I don't know. But if Bud can make Canelo work every minute of every round, could force the bigger man into fatigue. Gas tank empty. And fatigue makes cowards of even the strongest chins. Can Crawford pull the coward out of Canelo? I don't know. He is from Guadalajara, Jalisco. And like he said, we don't F around. But there are some other guys who didn't F around either. Smaller guys who fought bigger men. And bigger guys who fought the smaller men and put the bing-bings on them. So the small man can win, but the big man can win too. You think about Pacquiao, Margarito, we've talked about that. That's a good example. You've seen Pacquiao move up, put the bing-bings on Margarito. Everyone talks about Roy Jones and Ruiz. Then people talk about Mayweather and Canelo. People talk about Sugar Ray Leonard and Hagler. But then you talk about where the bigger man wins. Kell Brook trying to fight Triple G. He was looking good, looking strong, but eventually Triple G put the Kazakhstani bing-bings on him and it was over. Khan and Canelo damn near killed that man. Mikey Garcia and Earl Spence. Mikey Garcia, excellent, outstanding fighter. Got into Earl Spence, man, just size and volume wore him down. He could have walked him down and probably knocked his ass out, but he chose to outbox him just to prove a point. Don't mess with Texas. And that's exactly what he showed. So the bottom line here, look, Crawford has the skill, timing, adaptability to trouble Canelo in ways the bigger men haven't. Okay, Crawford's special. Canelo has the chin, he's got the power, he's got the experience to walk through storms and land fight-ending shots, which I believe he can do that to Crawford, especially if he can catch up to him. But the tipping point will be whether Crawford can hurt Canelo enough to keep him honest while moving. Just think about that. Moving and trying to generate and sustain some kind of power that can hurt Canelo. I don't know. But also, can Canelo force Crawford into exchanges that Crawford probably shouldn't have, where Canelo has a chance to land the power and impose his size? I don't know. I don't know. But the bottom line, in my opinion, Alvarez, Crawford's counter, Canelo's power. Look, we can highlight all that shit, but this is a fight where the narrative could flip multiple times. Early rounds favoring the smaller man's speed, later rounds favoring the big man's pressure, and in that razor-thin space between stamina and chin, history could decide whether the smaller man conquers again or the bigger man closes the gap. which is going to end this debate. You know what I'm saying? So everyone's going to have an opinion, but what I'll say is, I think the real argument is that if Canelo wants to maximize his chances, an early KO push could be the most dangerous version of him for Terence Crawford. I've been saying that. I'm going to keep saying that. And history is going to give us some clues why. I think Crawford loses and gets knocked out and gets embarrassed if Canelo comes and just steps to him. Just puts it all on the line the first round. Fuck it. Just go for the gusto. I think Canelo will viciously knock Terence Crawford out. Now, y'all are probably saying, nah, you're wrong. No, I'm telling you. I am telling you, he will hurt him. He'll knock his ass out. Crawford, look, this is facts. This is no blue hat like the young boys. Crawford has shown a pattern. Just like Canelo's shown a pattern that, he kind of just get on cruise control. Well, Crawford be on cruise control in the first couple rounds, downloading data, doesn't he? He is often in download mode. He's there studying his opponent, switching stances, being calculated, figuring out what's the safest risk, safest approach. And he did that shit in a couple of fights, and that's where he got caught. We talked about Mean Machine, buzzed the shit out of him. Even Gamboa was able to land sharp counters. Hank Lundy, I talked about him, had early success. Straight shots. In each of those fights, Bud ended up adjusting, taking over. But those early moments proved Terence Crawford ain't fully dialed in, man. You can touch him. In them early moments, them first 4 rounds, I'm telling you. Now, Canelo can be a slow starter himself, but I just think if the game plan is, let's flip the script on Omaha, Nebraska's finest and show him how we get down in Guadalajara, Jalisco. He can come out with fast shots, heavy pressure, and that is one way to shock and disrupt Terence Crawford's rhythm. Them hooks, compact, to the body, overhand rights, hitting Crawford on top of the head and side of the head in places where he can't defend against. Could test Crawford's chin and durability before Crawford has a chance to show that quality that we all know he has. Adaptability. He won't survive. I'm telling you, he won't survive that shit. Everybody talks about, man, how Crawford's going to do this and Canelo can do that and the fight gets into the mid-round. Man, forget the mid-rounds. Golovkin said it. Other fighters said it. If Canelo lands early on Terence Crawford, which is what they feel he should do, go for him early. They say the size, the power, the fact that Crawford is normally twiddling his thumbs and trying to figure shit out is going to make for a short night. And you know what? Out of everything, the research I've done, I agree with that. I agree 100%. Is there a risk? Yeah, there's a risk, but I think it's a minimal risk when you come in there and you just jump on Crawford in the beginning of the first round. I think it's minimal risk. Crawford can use his opponent's aggression against him. That's normally when he really starts warming up. He's got long arms. If Canelo just jumps on him, Crawford's arms are too long to try to fight on the inside. Canelo will bing, bing, bing his ass. That's a fact, man. But if Canelo gets too reckless and overcommitting and swinging widely, Crawford got that muscle memory. I don't care that he's been out the ring for a year. He's been training hard over this last year. Now, all of a sudden, maybe Bud's counterpunching could turn that open rush into a trap. But I'm just got to be real and highlight that, Crawford's timing and adaptability can flip momentum in a single exchange, even against bigger men. But I just feel, although Bud may try to use Canelo's forward momentum to exploit his slower footwork, I think that's Canelo's best choice. Jump on him. There's a window, man. There is a window of opportunity there that I think is a safe space for Canelo. And that's the first 3 to 4 rounds. The first 3 to 4 rounds, I think Canelo is green light, go. And Canelo is yellow light, red light, caution, stop. You watch Canelo's size and power. Mess around and overwhelm Crawford before Crawford can adjust. He won't even know what hit him. But again, it's a double-edged sword because you just don't know. He could burn some energy. Crawford survives. And Crawford starts making those reads and say, okay, I see what you're trying to do. And he take over late. So it is what it is. But you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking Daniel Jacobs, Peter Quillen. That's what I'm thinking. Jump on him, catch him. Canelo just needs to jump on him. And I just think, man, he could just flip any plan that Crawford had for that fight and his team, flip that shit upside down on his head. And that would make for a killer fight. And I just think Crawford won't be able to react. That first round, I don't think Crawford will be able to react. He'll get hit with some shit and probably never recover. Even if he somehow runs like Jermell Charlo and makes it to the end of the fight, he'll never be in the fight. He'll get booed. He'll be like what Andre Ward said. He fought a guy. He got hit in, I don't know, the 10th round or something. He said he doesn't remember the last 2 rounds. And I think that's what, Bud could run into messing around with Canelo. Anyway, stamina and speed from Terrence Crawford. The power and granite chin from Canelo. How's this fight going to play out? I think Canelo should jump on him immediately. But we all know Crawford is special. He's elite. But at the end of the day, just don't know how Crawford is going to hurt, discourage, get the respect of a guy like Canelo. Built like a tank, yet hard to hit. Canelo from Guadalajara, cold running shit. Canelo gonna mess around and win this fight and shock a lot of people. And people gonna be crazy and all melancholy, jumping into a river, butt naked with man-eating crocodiles trying to swim across, looking to die. Anyway, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans all 7 continents. I'm about to go chill. Become a member to the channel, $2.99 if you're enjoying the content. In the breeze.